Even at school I was, this quiet, sort of in the background child who tried very hard during lessons, was always in the top groups.
Because I didn't think what was happening was wrong.
To me that was normal. I thought that's the way you bring children up.
That's because again, my mother is, if she didn't want to get up, that was it.
I strived so hard to do better because I had this home life.
Because I used to cut myself and I would daydream about killing myself, and sometimes I would search the house for pills and that, and being on not enough or not the right kind and that, and I don't know, I just didn't really particularly want to be around.
But at the time when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to tell people things. I was under my mum's thumb.
I think everything that's happened to me, I've deserved it, because things that I do not happen unless you're a bad person.
It's usually the young carer that is the one that identifies the start of the deterioration, and they'll be sharing with other professionals, but that isn't acted upon until it's too late, until that's
everything seems to happen when everything is at crisis point. And that isn't just upon discharge, it's upon getting a parent admitted in a hospital, either under a section or as a voluntary patient, us receiving referrals for children, for families. It's at crisis point. And I guess the whole ethos should be about prevention work and early intervention, so that family doesn't break down, it doesn't deteriorate. But that isn't happening. It isn't happening at all, and it's quite sad, because it's been proven and shown that if families have early intervention work done, then it doesn't usually get to that crisis point. So tools need to be put in place, I guess, within mental health services and within acute hospitals, so that families are immediately responded to. The family unit, not just the patient, the family unit need to be responded to.
And how often does that happen now?
I think it's probably every referral we get, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's at crisis point. The children have been identified as being young carers because the parents or the siblings' mental health has deteriorated to such a point that there's a very clear impact. There's an emotional impact, there's a physical impact on these children's well-beings. So it's almost a reactive referral.
Yeah.
It's very reactive, rather than
I would agree with that.
a patient being picked up and having a working age adult assessment. At that point, if that patient's saying, I've got 3 children and a partner, instead of just doing a patient assessment, it should be a family assessment.
I think it's really hard for people with mental health problems to have a baby, because I think I know from my personal experience that when you have problems, you're generally quite selfish, everything's kind of turned around until it's about you, or things like that. And I think it's quite hard when you have a baby, because I know that I think that everything is really done to upset me, or things like that, when she has a dirty nappy and I change her, and then she carries on doing her dirty nappy, and sometimes I think to myself, why is she doing that? I'm sure she's doing it just to wind me up. So I'll change her, and then she might do something else, and I just think, I can't believe you're doing this to me again. Why do you always do this to me? And it's got nothing to do with me, but that's what babies do. And just because I have mental health problems, it doesn't mean that she's doing things to annoy me, but that's automatically what I think every time something happens, whether it's changing nappies, she's been sick, or she's crying, or wants a bottle. It doesn't matter what it is, I'll just manage to turn it all round until it's about me.
You're terrified that by raising the issue that maybe they're not so great parenting, or more importantly raising the issue with social services, that you're just going to destroy them. It's going to destroy them completely. It's going to knock them so far back that they're never going to recover from it. And that's a massive weight of responsibility. But the second reason, and I think was what scares a lot of people, is that the fear, because we're human beings just like the rest of the population, and we worry about social service involvement because we have all experiences of when people have went in really heavy-handed and the kids have been removed and people's lives have been devastated. And the idea that you could do that as somebody you're trying to build up, it's a real worry. So much so that you sort of wish that there weren't children involved, you sort of hope that they're getting on okay. Sometimes I don't think you hear. I don't think you hear what the children are saying. I think you just say they look all right, they look all right, and you hope. It's hope that it's okay, really.
She just makes me feel distracted, so I don't know if she goes to bed.
Because I put a telly on for you, or I start up an activity for you, don't I?
And then
I
you go to
away.
bed, yeah. She treats me to do it.
Is it nice when she gets up again?
Yeah, it feels really better. Yeah.
Do you prefer it when she's up out of bed then?
Yeah, it's much better. Or I should just kind of is in a mood and you have to like do the stuff and what she says and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really not fair.
Yeah, Mummy gets grumpy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very grumpy and stressed.
It makes me feel a bit fed up that Mum's just always in bed and stuff. When she's well, she likes tidying, and when she's ill, she likes going to bed.
Yeah. Which do you like?
I like it when she tidies because, you know, she normally keeps the house quite messy. We just don't really feel that we want to tidy. So we keep it until it's like a dump.
Do you ever talk to the teachers about your mum?
Not really, no.
Why not?
Because I kind of only like telling it to the people that I know and very well and that are my bestest friends.
People that you trust.
Yes, people that I trust.
You know when you see your mum and she's sad, does that make you sad?
Quite sad, and when she cries I kind of copy because when she cries it makes me really, really sad.
And then sometimes Mummy says, "Ooh, I need to cry, but I'll only do it for 5 minutes, and I let you look at the watch, don't I?" And
Yeah.
And you have a pasty or something, and I cry for 5 minutes, and then I stop, don't I?
Yeah, and Mum is getting quite better now, she really is.
I picked a family up where Mum had bipolar. She'd been recently diagnosed, really chaotic, taking walks along Baker Bridge and all sorts. Not because she wanted to kill herself, just because it was a big buzz. And the children, she couldn't sleep, so at night she was cleaning the entire house from top to bottom in the middle of the night, okay? So the children obviously didn't sleep. When I got the referral for the dad to have a carers assessment, the care coordinator actually turned around and says, it would be better if you could see him in your office to give him a break. And I said, okay, who's going to be with Mum? Well, the children are used to play, so I'll just leave the children with Mum and they can watch her.
And is that common?
Instead of everything being good practice, I hear this word all the time, it's good practice to do this. This is an example of good practice. Well, good practice is all good and well, but perhaps it needs to be mandatory. You must do this. Upon, meeting this patient and knowing they have a family and knowing there are young children there, you must do this. This, that, and the other, and have very clear guidelines on what you do and what the process is, and that it must be followed. Not good practice to do this, because these children's lives are so affected by the carer role that it needs to be better than good practice.
Yeah,
this is what must be done.
Because he was the one that noticed I was unwell. I had this facade on for everybody else, and I thought I had it, for him as well. I thought he couldn't tell, but he picked up that things weren't right with Mum.
Sometimes I think to myself, I really, really hate being a mum. Just everything about it, I just hate. But then I realise that it's not that I hate being a mum, it's the fact that I hate the mum that I am.
When situations arise with my children, like with my son, when he was being bullied, unfortunately that brought up all my emotions about when I was bullied, and I found it really, really difficult to not support him. I supported him because I knew what he was going through, but it was like those emotions were mine as well. I was there again. I was that 7-year-old in the playground being bullied. It was me again, and it was really, really difficult. And I was thinking, is history repeating itself with my son?
I had to do sort of a module, and it looked at the effects of me depression and anxiety, my mood swings and all of that, the actual impact on the family. And I didn't realise until somebody actually went through it with us, which is the first time in like 13 years, that I could see, like I could actually look in at myself and see, yeah, it must have been horrible for them. But again, it's being wrapped up in yourself so much that you don't actually realise you're doing it half the time. Makes me feel like a bad dad.
I was terrified that my daughters would end up like me.
It's heartbreaking because I don't want to be like that. I want to be a really good mum that, can do things that every other mum can be, but I can't, and it's a horrible feeling.
With the emotional wellbeing team, that was difficult. That was difficult for me because they had to get involved because there was a situation where I took an overdose and my son was the only one in the house. When I took the overdose, there was adults in the house, but they had just left me. They just thought I was asleep. And it was my son trying to wake me up, so they had to be involved. So that was difficult for me, because again, it was that you're a terrible mother, you've put your son in danger. What a horrible thing to do, all that self-berating.
I love my kids so much, and I want to do right by them, and I'm so worried that my mental health will ruin their lives and their childhood, and I'll turn them into something that's not very nice. But I try my best all the time, and I ask for help when I need it, and I try out new techniques and things to try and make sure I do my best, and I should be proud of that, but sometimes I just think I'm just ruining their childhood and their lives because I'm so crap.
I would never do anything like that with my kids.
Because I haven't had a healthy model of parenting from my own childhood, I don't know how to parent. I know how not to parent. I know how to damage someone. I don't know how to make them feel safe and happy and nurtured and loved. I'm trying my best. I'm really trying my best. But as I don't even know how to nurture myself, and I don't have some skills which other people take for granted, like making friends, saying no, having boundaries. Oh, boundaries! I didn't realise I had boundaries. I didn't know I had the right to have boundaries. These things which I'm trying to teach my daughter, but I'm trying to learn them at the same time myself. It's very difficult.
We're trying to think of how we can be better at this, how we can maybe help children deal with these issues and actually support the person to be a good parent, because I don't think I've met anybody ever, and I've come across lots of different people, and bearing in mind I work in forensic services now, I've never met anybody who didn't want to be a good parent, who are really trying their best. They might not be making a good job of it, but actually they're trying their absolute best. So I feel like your job really is about, as much as you can, supporting that person. Maybe raise the issues, as uncomfortable as it is and as difficult it is. You know, it's not like they don't know, you know, that they've got issues with parenting. Maybe they've just got to get out there and discuss it. But actually I think we need a whole system overhaul on how to do this, because the systems just aren't geared up to deal with families. And mental illness devastates an entire family, just doesn't devastate the person involved. You're talking about devastation of children, of partners, of friends, of work colleagues. And I wonder if the only way forward really would be is if we can actually deal with mental distress as a family issue, because this person sits within a family and maybe that's the only way of dealing with it.
The way that I've been managing it since I've come into post is, and I know probably people roll their eyes at this, but using the common assessment framework, the CAF, if it's been a lower level kind of need that I'm working with and it's not a safeguarding issue, then putting a CAF around the family. But what's saddened me is I've come in and I've began work with families who've been receiving support from professionals for quite a long time, but there's been no coordination around that. So there's been no CAF put in place, so the families have had to retell the story over and over again to different agencies who people have signposted and referred. And I think one example, recently I pulled a CAF together with a family who mum was suffering depression, and I think she was so pleased that she knew what people were there for and who was doing what, and there was a very clear plan every 4 to 6 weeks what we were working on. It was broke down, and we're highlighting the family's strengths, not just the weaknesses as well. So they felt empowered to do something about their situation, and it wasn't just a bunch of people sitting in a room saying, you're not doing this well, you're not managing that well, you need to get better at this. It was saying, well done, the point you're at now is brilliant, let's build on this. What else do you think needs to happen? And I think when you give families that empower, being it a young care or the parent or the care for, that's really powerful, because they know what they need to make their family situation and to help them and support them.
And I guess where you don't need to use a CAF, it's about going back to the basic model of having family meetings or using a family therapy kind of tool where the parents and the family can sit down in a safe environment with a worker and actually talk about what the strengths are, what's going on at the minute, what are the problems, and working together as a family unit to get over those little milestones and be able to sort them out, so everyone's having the views listened to, but it's done in a safe way, in a safe environment, and having a tool to be able to record all of that so professionals can see this is the work that Maxine's done, this is the work that Paul is doing, this is what the children are thinking. So how can we support the service user to be involved in the family unit and feel as a part of the family unit, not the problem that I think sometimes made to feel like. Yeah.
I'd like to have somebody who would have listened to actually say, this isn't right, what's happening to you. This shouldn't be happening to you.
I would quite like all the teachers to understand about poorly thinking and stuff. Because it's hard being a child with a mum that's got poorly thinking.
And do you have any messages to tell people about what it's like for young carers?
Yeah, I just want to say to everyone that it's really hard and that I just need some help. Because I have to look after this poorly mum when I'm only quite young. I'm only 6 and I have to just do it, and it's not even nice. Even when I was 3, I had to tell her how to make a sandwich.
No, that's when I was really poorly. I'd just come out of hospital.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not
Did
like
she
that now.
forget?
Yeah, she just was like, how do you make a sandwich? And I was like, you get some bread, you put some filling on and then close it.
It's a good job you remember things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very good job, and it's very important that I remember stuff.